Hi guys, I'm Chris Egnoto and you're watching my YouTube. Thanks a lot for that. Now, it's April, kind of early April, and in the background you can hear some spring peepers, one of the first sounds of spring. These guys and the wood frogs are the first to come out. These guys actually produce a glucose in their bodies that basically allows them to freeze, so they can stay above the frost line. They can hit these vernal pools before pretty much the green frogs and bullfrogs and most of the other frogs can. That gives them a head start on the breeding and on the feeding. You know, they can lay their eggs in the water and they have plenty of time before it dries up for their tadpoles to metamorphosize. There they go. Let's go find one. These guys are pretty cool. One of my favorite herps of spring. So let's go find them. They're pretty small. They're a little tricky to find. These guys are like an inch long. So let's go. There we go. Little spring peeper. Now the reason why these guys call out so loud is they're really small, and the foliage and vegetation in which they hide is usually pretty dense. And as you can tell, there's a lot of them, so you really want to be able to pick out your individual, you know, in case you're attracted to them. Okay, there's one right now. You can see how they got their name by that loud preeping sound. Now, I recorded one of these guys with a decimeter, and it was 88 decimeters, okay? Or 88 decibels. Very loud guys. So, there's that characteristic somewhat X on their back. That's a great way to identify them if they're actually not calling out. These guys are pretty small. This is obviously a male. The males call out to pretty much attract the females so that they can breed. And they lay a whole bunch of individual eggs and attach it to the debris in the water in their vernal pools. They like vernal pools because there's no fish in them, because the fish will pretty much eat all their eggs. There's another one. Now you can almost see that X on their back. They almost always have an X mark. Sometimes they're tan, sometimes they're brown, sometimes they're pink, sometimes they're orange. And they usually have that somewhat of an X mark on their back. So, Pseudocris crucifer, one of my favorite species of frog. You can kind of see that X mark on their back. This one doesn't have one really pronounced, but it's there. Look how small they are. Look how small those little guys are. It's a tiny little frog. One of my favorite species. My other two favorites are the cricket frog, southern cricket frog, and the gray tree frog. I love those guys. They're so cool. So, there you go. So, you finally got to see spring peeper, Joe. Maybe it's not in person, but at least you get to see one on video in the meantime. But I'm going to let this little guy go. Just keep in mind you got to wet your hands if you ever touch these guys, and it's best not to. I generally only handle them for videos and stuff like that, or to help them across the road so they don't get run over. But cute little guy, isn't it? Spring peeper, Pseudocris crucifer. Let's let this little guy go. Pew.